Hello and welcome, everybody. This is the Los Angeles River Path Draft Environmental Impact Report public hearing. It looks like everybody's logging in, so I'm going to give it a few minutes here for everybody to dial in, and just hold tight for a few minutes, and we'll get started. Hello, everybody, and welcome. This is the LA River Path Draft EIR public hearing. We're going to wait a few minutes to make sure everybody has been able to dial into the meeting.
Muy buenas noches a todos. Este es la convocatoria pública del borrador del sendero del Río de Los Ángeles, el informe de impacto ambiental. Vamos a esperar unos minutos antes de empezar la reunión para que todos se conecten a esta reunión.
Okay, our attendance numbers have sort of leveled off and peaked, so I want to get started here and welcome you all to Metro's Los Angeles River Path Draft Environmental Impact Hearing. Um, um, this is for the our third meeting, our virtual meeting. Next slide. And before I get too further, I want to turn it over to Jackie Moore, who's going to walk through our translation process.
Muy buenas noches nuevamente y gracias por su participación. El día de hoy habrá interpretación al español y al inglés. En la parte inferior de la pantalla verán un icono con un globo terráqueo. Por favor, hacer clic al globo terráqueo y escojan su idioma de preferencia, en este caso español. Muchas gracias por su participación.
Thank you, Jackie. I appreciate that. So today's meeting is recorded. You can see the language there on interpretation. Just press the interpretation icon below if you would like to get translated this conversation into Spanish. Attendee cameras are off and microphones are muted. During the meeting, questions and comments can be submitted using the Q&A icon or by texting 213-682-6830. If you would like to give verbal comment during the formal comment section, please click the raise icon and we'll unmute you and allow you to speak, but that's further in the presentation. If you're having problems tonight logging into your Zoom channel, we have a number here again, 213-682-6830. 6830, either text or call, and they can help navigate you through Zoom so that you can participate in tonight's meeting. So once again, thank you everybody for coming. Next slide, please. So tonight we just want to establish the ground rules. We want to create a safe and welcoming environment. We want to ensure that all participants can fairly and clearly share their ideas, comments, and concerns about the project. This is to ensure an equitable and safe process, and we'd like to ask for your help. During the public hearing, please respect the format of the meeting, direct all comments to Metro staff and consultants, and then make conversational tone and treat fellow community members and speakers and agency and representatives and Metro staff and others with respect, both before and during after this presentation. Next slide. So the way we're going to provide public comments for this particular draft environmental impact report, and there's lots of different ways. You can provide verbal comments during the comment period tonight or at one of our in-person public meetings. We have a fourth meeting coming up, which you'll learn more about tonight. If you would like to comment during the comment portion, and that's after the presentation, just click raise hand on your icon on your Zoom menu, and a staff member will unmute you and start the timer. We're going to be trying to limit comments for 2 minutes just so we can get through everybody. I see that we have about maybe 68 people logged in tonight. But if we have enough time tonight, which we very well might, we will go ahead and provide another opportunity for people to comment. So if you want to submit your comments, click the Q&A icon, and comments may be submitted online during the comment period of the project website. Next slide. This is an overview of our project website. We have a ways here of everybody to be involved in the conversation. So we have a Facebook page that's listed there below. And we also have a project update page. So you can use the QR codes to log in and be a part of that. Next slide. So this is, thank you for joining us tonight. The draft EIR presentation will be about 30 minutes. And after that, we'll receive formal public comment for 85 minutes. Closing remarks will be for 5 minutes. The public hearings will be video recorded. If you would like to give verbal comment, please click on the raised hand icon and the team will call on you to give your comment. And we also have translation going on. Next slide. So we also want you to know your rights in these challenging times. All immigrants, regardless of status, are entitled to basic rights and protections under the law. And understanding these rights is the first step towards safety empowerment and assessing essential resources. So we provided agency resources, a QR code, an address, phone numbers, and a URL, oia@lacounty.gov. And you can get free and low-cost legal services, language accessible assistance, and resources for navigating immigration issues. And you can also find skills for protection from fraud, discrimination, and abuse. So please access these resources if you are needed, if they are needed. Next slide. So we'll begin the formal presentation now on the LA River project. My name is Mark Tierking, Director of Community Relations. Mitali Gupta will be primary presenter, and she's the project manager for this. Christian DeCastro will also be presenting. He's the deputy project manager, and Matthew Frank will lead us through the environmental process as he's our environmental lead from Jacobs Engineering. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to Mitali.
Thank you, Mark, and good evening, everyone, and thank you for your time this evening. Metro has a plan to make it easier to go around LA. It includes providing alternative modes of transportation, and this project proposes to create a safe, efficient, active transportation travel option by closing the largest contiguous gap of 8 miles along the LA River Path network connecting San Fernando Valley, Long Beach, and the communities in between. Next slide, please. I'd like to start with a brief background to provide some regional context. Led by Metro, this project builds on the ongoing investments along the LA River, which includes the LA Riverway, the Lower LA River Bike Path, and the Rail-to-Rail path with coordinations underway for the rail-to-river path. The vision began with the original 20 miles bike path completed in 1977. Measure M later committed $365 million to close the largest remaining gap. And in 2022, the County of LA adopted an LA River Master Plan, which recommends a single agency or an entity to maintain the full 51-mile corridor when complete. As the project advances, Metro will identify an agency to construct, operate, and maintain it, since Metro lacks the property ownership and jurisdictions to serve in that role. I'll cover this in more details later. Next slide, please. This project is guided by 6 core objectives: safety, access, efficiency and sustainability, equity, user experience, and health. These priorities are built into the design with separate paths for cyclists and pedestrians, connections to key destinations, gentle slopes for all ages and abilities, and infrastructure that supports active and sustainable travel. Next slide, please. Oh, sorry. Can you go back to the previous slide? Thank you. Sorry about that. I also wanted to provide some community context. The equity-focused communities around the corridor is primarily on the east bank in the neighborhoods like Cypress Park, Lincoln Heights, and Boyle Heights, with additional communities in the west bank along Elysian Park and Chinatown. Metro's EFCs, or the equity-focused communities analysis, helps us identify areas facing greatest transportation barriers. Within half mile of the corridor, about 76,000 residents live nearby, and within 3 miles of the project area, this serves a population of 1 million, of which it's predominantly Latino, about 77%, with 17% of the working age residents relying on walking, biking, or transit to get to work. Next slide, please. This corridor is highly constrained, as you can see from the picture, especially the one on the left lower side, because it has limited right-of-way due to rail lines, utilities, and power towers, including infrastructure within the river channel. The 8-mile project passes under 30 bridges, many of which are historic, and they are mostly under the City of LA's jurisdiction, requiring a combination of elevated and incised segments along the riverbank. When the city and county together, they own 80% of the right-of-way. Metro owns only 1%. And additionally, there is easement, which is held by the Corps of Engineers and flood control districts. As a result, Metro must pursue a partnership with the city and county to lead the construction, ownership, and long-term operations and maintenance. We've started some initial discussions, but no agreement has yet been put in place. With that, I will hand it over to Christian.
Thank you, Mitali. Next, I will present the 3 key features common to all alternatives. Next slide, please. These features are access points, path types, and bike ped bridges. Access points connect communities to the project and may include amenities like wayfinding, seating, and landscaping. For the path types, due to limited right-of-way, much of the project will be built within the river channel, primarily as elevated structures or incised paths to navigate around railroads, utility towers, and bridges. Where right-of-way is available, mainly in the southern section, top-of-bank alignments are proposed. During conceptual design, a bottom-of-channel alignment was considered but excluded from environmental review due to safety concerns and poor performance against project goals. Public and stakeholder feedback emphasized safe access from both banks, leading to the inclusion of bike and pedestrian-only bridges, designed either with multiple footings or clear spans to cross the river. Next slide, please. The design assumptions of the LA River Path project, proposed in Measure M, have since been refined as the design advanced. Since 2018, Metro has held several public and stakeholder meetings. The inputs from these meetings and the technical analyses of the project has influenced some of the key changes, including prioritizing safety, designing for wider paths to accommodate user demand and to allow for emergency vehicle access, and access to both sides of the river. The 2025 Draft EIR presents 7 alternatives. including a costlier option 1, which is most similar to the original plan, but refined based on analyses and public and stakeholder input. This is a visual comparison of all the alternatives considered in the draft EIR. Since all alignments follow the river, they appear very similar. However, as you will see in the following slide, there are differences in where you can access the path or cross the river for each alternative. In general, the alternatives start and finish on the west bank, connect to communities on both banks and to major destinations, directly or indirectly. These destinations would include LA State Historic Park, Albion Park, Union Station, and Park at 6th Street within the city of LA. In the city of Vernon, common connections include Bandini Soto Triangle, a commercial destination. Next slide, please. This summary slide provides a comprehensive comparison of the alternatives. You'll notice differences in the number of bridges, access points, and path types across options. The shortened paths represent shortened versions of the proposed project. Based on the alternative, anywhere between 5 to 10 communities would have direct access to and from the project. Each alternative's benefits are rated as high, medium, or low based on how well they improve access to surrounding communities. And with that, I will now hand it off to Matt Frank.
Hi, folks. Thanks for joining us this evening. I'll take a deeper dive into the environmental document and its findings. So the environmental review process, we are here in the middle of the process, which started with the release of the draft EIR on December 18th, with the public review period ending Monday, February 2nd. Completion of the environmental review process triggers the next steps, which is work by Metro staff and to prepare information for its board for identifying a locally preferred alternative among the range of alternatives that Christian was just sharing. And as Matali mentioned earlier, there's important decisions to be made regarding the responsibility for operating and maintaining the project once it's built. And then with the completion of this environmental review process, and with these decisions made about the LPA and about the O&M agency, then the board will consider action to approve a single alternative to advance into detailed design, sharpen the pencils to work out all the details of that single alternative, and then advance that into construction. Next slide, please. So what is this draft EIR and why is it important? It is a environmental impact report, a formal study that's required under the California Environmental Quality Act. It's a CEQA document. And the purpose of the CEQA document includes several important components. It analyzes the significant impacts of the alternatives, and it analyzes those impacts to a broad category of different types of environmental resources, 18 of them in our case. And for each of those categories, the impacts of the projects are evaluated and where necessary and where feasible, mitigation measures or these prescriptions are made to reduce significant impacts. And importantly, in addition to the technical aspects of the CEQA document, this process provides an opportunity for the public to review and weigh in on the project and its environmental impacts before Metro commits to a single alternative and advances the project forward. And why is the project important to Metro? The LA River Path would provide a safe alternative mode of transportation, especially for those who rely on public transportation. And it expands equitable access to jobs, housing, a myriad of other important community amenities and services, and especially in this area that provides those to underinvested communities. Next slide, please. So I mentioned these broad categories of environmental resources. This is a listing of those here. The important conclusions, there are no long-term environmental impacts. We look at the project both from a construction perspective and once it's built, what are some of the adverse consequences to the path being there. And for a project like this, there's really not any important adverse impacts in the long term. Those are all going to be worked out in construction or in design. However, for construction, it is a big project that's going to require a lot of equipment and time and effort in order to build it. And although there's a variety of types of construction impacts, there are what we call unavoidable, these significant and unavoidable impacts to a couple of categories. Those are highlighted there in bold: geology, which is actually a paleontological impact, and then also a noise and vibration. Next slide. So let's just take a little bit of a deeper dive into those two specific categories where we do have these significant and unavoidable impacts. In areas where we expect to have deeper excavations into previously undisturbed soils, which will happen in some areas, especially where we have bridge piers or we have the structure elevated, requiring deeper excavations. There is the potential to uncover during that construction project paleontological resources that are currently unknown, but because it's the LA basin, we know they're down there somewhere. We may or may not find them, but in case we do find them here, we have a series of mitigation measures that calls for, first of all, starting with the plan about, how to monitor and what to do if they're found. We're committing to worker environmental awareness training, so people get what they call a tailgate session, what to do if they find a bone or that type of information, and then a plan for curation if we do find paleontological resources, how they're curated from a science perspective. But still significant and unavoidable even with those measures. For noise and vibration, it will be noisy during construction, and the noise levels will vary depending on the type of construction equipment that's used. Again, in areas where there's deeper excavations that require more intensive types of construction, those impacts would be greater. We evaluated impacts to sensitive receptors using established criteria. These are Federal Transit Administration criteria, which account for those types of construction noise. And in some areas, the thresholds from those criteria are exceeded during construction. Sometimes in the daytime, and although we anticipate mostly daytime construction, the possibility of nighttime construction is always out there as a possibility, and the criteria tighten up at night, and some of those nighttime criteria are exceeded as well. Again, we have a series of measures to ensure noise control and following local requirements for noise abatement to the extent it's feasible, but we still find it to be significant and unavoidable in some cases up and down the corridor. Next slide. So just a summary of these different environmental resource categories and their summary conclusions. Again, we evaluated impacts during construction and after completion of the project. We've talked about significant and unavoidable impacts. We also have what we call less than significant with mitigation. So there is something to see there in terms of significant impacts, but we've prescribed these measures to reduce them below our thresholds in one case during operations, but for the most part, again, these are construction level impacts. And then for most other categories, especially once construction is complete, there are less than significant impacts. They just, there's something, but they don't exceed any thresholds. And in some cases, there's just no impact whatsoever. So those are no impact categories. So that's a quick summary of the contents of the draft EIR and its key conclusions. And if we go to the next steps, next slide, I'll turn it back over to Matali to discuss next steps.
Thank you, Matt. Next slide, please. So what happens after the public commenting period is closed? Once it's closed, Metro will collect all the public and agency inputs that come in during this time, and together with the draft EIR analysis, which we've already done, and consideration of feasibility, safety, funding, schedule, we'll develop a locally preferred alternative, or the LPA, which could be one of the draft EIR alternatives or a combined hybrid option of these. Due to funding constraint, Metro will also develop a phasing plan, which is pretty much in line with all the other Metro projects that we are developing. And this funding phasing plan will align the initial construction with the available funding so that we bring in the benefits to the people of Los Angeles as soon as we possibly can. In parallel, Metro will continue to coordinate with partner agencies to construct, operate, and maintain this project, including negotiating and writing up an O&M agreement. The final EIR will identify the LPA, include responses to all the comments that we are collecting now, and develop a mitigation monitoring reporting plan, or an MMRP, to address the identified impacts. With that, I'll turn it over to Mark.
Thank you very much. I want to now start the comment period. I know that a number of you want to make comments for the record. So next slide. Below is how we're going to be taking public comments. The public comment period is from the 47 days from December 18th to February 2nd. We want to make sure that we can hear from everybody. So just, deadlines are deadlines, but we really want to keep things moving. So if you could just send in your comments as soon as possible, that would be greatly appreciated. So with that, here are the number of public meetings that we've got coming up. We've got 4 so far. We've had 3, and one of those is tonight on January 22nd. We've got another one coming in on January 31st, and this is this Saturday from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. You can also provide your comments via the project website. We have a plan engage, which we'll walk through later in the meeting. There's also the email, lariverpath@metro.net. If you want to use the old-fashioned U.S. mail, you can. That's care of Mitali Gupta, Project Manager, Metro 1 Gateway Plaza. And that's Los Angeles, California, 90012. You can also call in via phone at 213-922-7001. Next slide. So this is the Plan Engage site. If we have time yet, and we've gotten through a lot of the comments, we can go ahead and walk you through the Plan Engage site. But this is basically an outline of the full environmental impact report, and we've got the executive summary in Spanish and English. And you can also type in your comments there on the website. Next slide. Public comment. Now we'd like to open up for public comment. So if you'd like to make a comment, the way that we're going to do this, we'll give you 2 minutes, and if we run out of speakers, we'll allow you to come back. But for the interest of fairness, make sure that you don't tag yourself twice or raise your hand twice until I can give you the sign at the end to sort of say that, we were coming near the end. If other people would like to speak again, they can. So with that, go ahead and raise your hand, and we'll go ahead and start the process. Okay, let's start off with the first in line. We've got J.I. Young, she, her. Please go ahead and speak. Can we unmute? There we go. Go ahead.
Sorry, I'm gonna get back in line. I'm gonna lower and get back in line.
Okay, perfect, no problem. Then we have Mario Dominguez. Great to hear from you, Mario. Go ahead.
Yeah, hello, Mr. Durkin. Okay, so this is what my direction. I'm going to type up a public comment email. Don't you worry about that. I'm going to do that tonight. But here's my instruction to Metro. So at the last meeting for this endeavor, it was stated it is a $1 billion project, and that you currently only have $400 million to move forward with this project. So this is what I want to see Metro do. Take that sum, cut it in half, build as much as you can on the northern segment with $200 million, and take the remaining sum and build as much as you can on the southern segment and call it a wrap. And then wait till you accumulate the next pool of money to move forward and proceed with building the rest of the 8 miles. I want this, but I don't want to see Metro spend $1 billion for an 8-mile bike path project. I mean, that's just outrageous. I mean, so it's crazy what it's become. And during the last meeting, Ms. Gupta, I asked, what is the least costly option? And you said it was the proposed option. So that I have to insist that Metro move forward with the proposed option because it's outrageous. It's $1 billion already, and you have all these other options. I mean, why even have all these other options if they're going to cost even more money? Cancel them out and just go with the proposed option. And I asked if there at the last meeting, are there any pedestrian bridges for walkers, joggers, bicyclists south of the city of Los Angeles? And Ms. Gupta, you said no, but there's one included with this project. I want to see that bridge. I'll end with that for now.
Okay, thank you, Mario. It's great to hear from you again. I did want to point out, people have been asking in the chat if they could get a copy of the presentation that is on our Project Ignites web series or presentation is on our website. We'll be going through the options and showing you how to get there later in this presentation tonight. And there was also a question about, can you slow down? Yes, we're going to try to slow down. We can come back to previous slides in the presentation. But for that, also, you can just refer on your own and go back and examine the slides as much as you want. And then the full environmental document has even more detailed drawings. So feel free to dive into our plan engage and our story map on our website. So thank you very much. And I think Brock has just put in the website link for everybody to use. So with that, I want to give Ms. Young a little bit more time. So let's go to Mark Lopez. Mr. Lopez? I'm not
Hi,
able.
can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, it took a minute for the unmute option to come up. I have a couple of things. I'll ask one for now, and then hope that there's time at the end for me to put my hand back up. I'll wait for that instruction. I haven't seen anything regarding the vertical river walls in Vernon. And so I'm wondering what it looks like there. I was part of conversations years ago before COVID about the GLAP closure here. And I remember there being some ideas around platforms or some other way to be able to attach something to the walls. And so I'm just wondering if you have a slide that shows something or if verbally you could describe what that looks like. I also wanted to request an additional 30 days for the comment period. I put it in the questions and answers, but I'm with East Yard Communities for Environmental Justice, and we were the only grassroots group from Southeast LA that seat on the Lower LA River Revitalization Plan work group. And then we also had a seat on the LA River Master Plan work group. And so we were very involved. But unfortunately, as often happens with these EIR comment periods, it happened during the break, during the holiday break. So a lot of folks are out of town, youth are out of school. So it's very difficult for us to gather community members to consider these documents, review them, provide substantive questions and comments. On top of that, with how active ICE has been in our communities, it's represented a lot of difficulties. And so we would like to ask for an additional 30 days so that we can properly gather the constituents, some of whom will be the most impacted by this, to be able to provide comments and questions. Thank you.
Great. Thank you for your comments. Appreciate it. I think the project team might be able to type in the chat, where you can find those drawings or those issues. And then, we want to make sure we get everybody's comments. So if your comments come in a little bit late, we'll do that. So I appreciate your comments for tonight. Next person, Clara Solis.
Hi, I'm a member of East Yards Communities for Environmental Justice, and I attended also the workshop in Lincoln Heights, but I got there a little bit late. I want to join Mark's request for more time because I noticed that the document was released December 18th, a week before Christmas, nobody's looking at these documents at that period of time. As Mark said, the ICE raids have really hurt our community. A lot of time has been spent, organizing around those. And so we've had little time to look at this document. Additionally, you guys, your presentations are right at the end. And so the comment period's over February 2nd, which is in a couple of days, 3 days. And here you're barely doing these presentations. So I think it's very reasonable to ask for more time. My other comment is just that I kind of would like to see, and I don't know if it's unreasonable to request, if there's a difference in pollution levels, if it's elevated to the user of the bike and pedestrian paths. Is there a difference between elevated, incised, or at on bank to the user? I think that would be valuable information to know, or if it's all the same, no matter what. Thank you. I will be submitting comments as much as I can get through the document. Thank you. And also please respect AB 52 and include our indigenous communities. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your comments. There is one question that came in from Kathy Ramirez, Move LA, about wanting to know if there's a tally of support for each design is received. That'll be a part of the final environmental impact report. So appreciate your comment. You'll see everybody's comment when that comes to that point. So thank you for asking that. We'll go on now to Helen Lessick.
Hello, I am a downtown small business owner and a bicyclist. I urge you to go back to your EIR and look at the in-channel option. The in-channel option for a bike path not only separates cyclists from traffic, but it can be done with the existing funding, and it can be done starting now with the Joint Powers Authority actually starting to work on the project. Please don't just dismiss it out of hand because it misses a few elements. It is the best option to get us safely from the north and south of LA to downtown LA. It will help my business. It will help the businesses of others in downtown LA, and it'll keep our cyclists safe and our motorists moving through the system. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for your comments. Appreciate it. Moving on then now to Stephanie Collin. Can we unmute Stephanie? Is that on their end or ours? Stephanie, you need to unmute. We're trying to let you have some time.
Hi, Mark. Can you hear me? Hi, Mark. Can you
Yeah,
hear
I
me?
can hear you now. Go ahead. Yes, please.
Thank you so much for your patience. So I just wanted to make a formal comment on this project. So I am a Lincoln Heights resident. What my concern is the maintenance of this project. We've seen the continuous graffiti in this city, even just to bring into comment the freeway. You know, we used to have these beautiful murals of children running down the freeway, beautiful representation about our city. They've been completely covered. Caltrans this past weekend, they put vines to try to help the appearance of our city improve, and it was immediately graffiti less than 12 hours later. So I'm worried about the maintenance of the appearance of this pathway. Second, the safety of it as well. Specifically, I live by the Ed P. Reyes Greenway path park. Here, we just came on the news maybe about like a month ago, maybe even less, on ABC 7 about a lot of homeless people in the area, and I'm just worried about if there's more activity, more people just walking by. I am really worried about that. We already have people cutting through the fence to go to the river, and they're constantly graffitiing. So that's already a hassle. The third, also like people were stealing from the trains. This walkway goes directly by the trains in the Lincoln Heights. There's the metro. There's the federal trains, Amtrak. So what, like, are they gonna like start stealing the wagons again? Like, stealing by Valley Boulevard in El Sereno, they put a whole bunch of bricks to prevent people from reaching the trains. Is that gonna happen again? It's just it's a mess. It's a hassle. I'm not for it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your comments. I don't have any other hands raised at the moment. Is there someone else that would like to speak and raise their hand? Okay, we're getting some repeat folks. That's great. No problem. Let's start with Mark Lopez.
Hello?
Yes, go ahead.
Cool. I'll add one more thing and then I'll raise my hand at the end again when there's no one else.
Okay.
I noticed that there is a gap when it comes to access points, in particular through the city of Vernon. And I imagine part of that might be because of the low population that lives in Vernon. But I do want to, mention, I'm sure y'all know, but just mention that there is a high population of workforce in Vernon. And from what I remember from a couple of years back, from numbers that were being shared, the vast majority of the workforce lives in the surrounding communities of Boyle Heights, unincorporated East LA, Maywood, and Huntington Park, and areas like this. And so those access points would be important for workers who use bikes as their primary form of transit. This already happens to a certain extent on a lot of streets. It tends to happen very early in the mornings, late at night, so a lot of folks don't necessarily see this. So having access points to the job dense corridor that is there in Vernon would be really important. And so I'm not sure what's possible for adding that, or perhaps if it's some sort of later phase, but it would just be really important, again, for the amount of workers who live close enough to easily bike to work if the infrastructure allowed for that. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. And Mr. Lopez, I think Matali sent you a message about the walls that you were talking about. So hopefully you can follow up and take a look at that website link. Okay, with that, let's move on to Mario.
Okay, so the ownership and maintenance of this project, to me, it seems pretty obvious. It should, wherever that segment of the bike path runs through, in whichever city, that city should have ownership of that portion of the bike trail. And if that's too complicated or convoluted to break it up into bits and pieces and let this city run and manage this segment of the trail or path and let this other city manage this other segment, if that's too complicated for you, then it should be fall at the feet of Metro. This should be your baby here, right here. Take care of this sucker right here. And if not Metro, then the other big agency is LA County Flood Control District, because as we all know, it's their job to make sure and maintain that riverbed is free and clear of any trash or debris and anything that might clutter it up. I also wanted to hit on, LA County is not a bike-friendly county. The city of Los Angeles is not a bike-friendly city. My city, Southgate, certainly is not a bike-friendly city either. So we need projects such as this, and I encourage Metro to pursue developing other bike trail projects that it has in, because I know they have like a whole slew of various bike lane projects that just have been neglected and haven't been developed. So I'll end with that for now.
Yeah, thank you, Mario. We're working with all the appropriate agencies involved in this project. Okay, let's move on to J.I. Young. She, her?
Hi, it's Ji Young.
Okay, sorry.
Hi. I'm a cyclist and I'm very, very much in favor of this project. I do support separating the walkers from the cyclists as much as possible for the safety of the walkers and the cyclists. And also, sorry if I missed it, but I hope that there are going to be restrooms along the way. I'm sure that the especially the neighborhoods that don't have parks are going to be concerned about where people are going to use restrooms. So if you did address this, my apologies, but I think it's an essential part of the project. That's all.
All right, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Okay, moving on then to Clara Solis.
Yes, I'd like to say I'm concerned about the shortened north and shortened south options. I really think it should be the whole project to connect both parts. I understand it's a lot cheaper just doing north or south, but this is a safe bike path for a change. We have so many bike paths that, there's interactions with cars and bicycles, and it's dangerous. And this will be a safe path for our bicyclists. And I think it's really important that they connect the whole route. If for some reason there was not the money and they had to just do one side or the other, I think the South has been more neglected and probably should be given preference. But my big preference is they finish the whole path, because we need to connect. We need to have safe access for bicyclists to get from the north to the south, and this will do it. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate the comment. I don't see anybody else that's raising their hand at the moment. So anybody would like to raise their hand? In the meanwhile, why don't we move on to walk through the Plan Engage site? Is that going to be Christian or Isaiah?
We got a few more hands.
Oh, they came up just now.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Mario, you want to come back on? Mario, you want to speak?
Yes, let me pick up where I left off, where I said that these bike trails, how there's a lack of bike trails and for bicyclists. So yes, it falls at the feet of cities and municipalities because they haven't made the investment in building this type of infrastructure. But it also falls at the feet of Metro and Caltrans. And I'll give you a perfect example. In the city of Linwood, they have a 1 mile bike trail on Fernwood Avenue. I've never been on a bike trail before. I fell in love with this thing. I was like, I got to get one of these for my city. So I get a hold of the deputy director of Parks Recreation, Jose Trejo, and I said to him, how did you guys score a 1 mile bike trail? Well, it's built on an easement. All that land is owned by Caltrans. And we partnered up with the Rivers and Mountains Conservancy, and the bike trail is runs east to west, and it's striped right down the center. I've never been on one before. I'm pretty sure it's the same material on the bike trail as what you see in residential streets. It looks like it's just all asphalt and it's striped right down the center. And then right alongside it is this green space, like a park aesthetic, if you can imagine, with trees and bushes and shrubs and all this plants and what they call decomposed granite for like a path or a walkway for folks to walk on. And so that's what Linwood has. Bellflower has a 2.5-mile bike trail. And I asked their director, PJ Milana of Parks and Recreation, how did you guys score a 2.5-mile bike trail? Well, it's built on an easement on these abandoned railroad tracks. I forget if he said they were either Metro railroad tracks or Southern Pacific Railroad. So they have that in Bellflower. I'll end with that.
So let's move on then to Carl Eggers. Carl?
I'm on there?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Yes, I'm calling it. I'd kind of like to see. I understand, the above channel options. It can run, 365 days a year. The problem is, it's everybody's got their property. Nobody wants to give up anything. Nobody wants to work with another group. We could move forward with the in-channel option with the existing funding. You really deal with two groups, Corps of Engineer and LA Public Works, the flood district. And I'm sure we can get out of the channel. But, we're just going to study this to death and spend all this money. And I don't think, the time that we're going to spend on this thing is people just can't use it. So I'd like to go back. I ride the part on Arroyo Seco, and that's in channel. There's a portion that's in channel, and it's completely fine. Now, some people could say, well, it's not safe. The whole thing is not safe. If you want to talk about, well, it's not visible from the road or this or that, you need to get people out using it. The more people use it, the safer it becomes. I don't think riding on the road is necessarily more safe than riding in the channel. Maybe that's how I should say safety. Anyway, thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. We appreciate your comments. Moving on, the next speaker is Ethereal. Go ahead.
Hello. My comment is mainly to incorporate as much biodiversity. Sorry, this child is right behind me. Maintain as much biodiversity along the walkway as possible, specifically also including shade trees so that the pathway is usable during extreme heat weather events. Otherwise, it's going to be useless half of the year for the community when there's extreme heat. And then that will also support ongoing projects of wildlife connectivity along the LA River that are working within the channel. But this one, as a side project, can support that type of work as well.
Thank you. Appreciate your comments. Let's move back again to Mark Lopez.
Yeah, thank you. I can't speak to north of Boyle Heights, but for sure from Boyle Heights down to Maywood, we would like a trail that would be accessible year-round, even when there's rain events. As I mentioned, it's a significant employment center, and so we would want there to be access for workers to be able to get to these work centers from surrounding communities year-round. Additionally, I was wondering if you all could speak to whether there's going to be investments in arterials. I don't know if that's part of this project or if that's something, if there's any type of coordination with local jurisdictions around improvements in arterials, or where there might be some nexus with the 710 improvement project and potentially funding some arterials, at least in the most southern portions of the gap. But for some of these areas, I think of Atlantic in particular, you have people who live south of Atlantic along the river, who are avid bikers, do centennials on the weekend regularly, but won't bike 8 miles to work, um, because of the surrounding intersections are just too dangerous. Thinking specifically about the Atlantic and Bandini intersection. And we did a report a couple of years back, and there isn't a high incident of bicycle and vehicular crashes, but for the crashes that do exist, there's a high rate of fatalities because of the traffic coming through our communities. And so those are just things that we would want to make sure that, if not part of this project, are being considered and hopefully implemented by other authorities.
Okay, thank you very much. I know that a lot of, well, you had a number of questions in there, but some of them are answered in the environmental document. To sort of get through that, at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Christian to walk us through the Plan Engage site. For the rest of you, if you can think of a question after Christian's done, we'll take your comment again. But so comment is still going to be open, but let's turn it over to Christian.
Thanks, Mike. All right. Okay, I'm seeing this screen. So we have this new virtual tool, a viewing platform, if you will, to view the Draft EIR. It's called Plan Engage. To access Plan Engage, you could go to your internet browser and you could go to the project website for the LA River Path at metro.net/project/LA River Path. Scroll down to the About section and you could click the Plan Engage link in the description. Alternatively, if you just want to get to the Plan Engage site directly, you could type in us.planengage.com/LA River Bike Path/page/welcome. So that's two different ways. I think we're dropping the link in the chat, so you could click on it from here as well. Next slide, please. So there's a lot of stuff on the Plan Engage viewing platform, which includes the welcome page, a comment form, draft EIR chapters, some of them with interactive maps, as well as many attachments in PDF form, such as appendices and non-California Environmental Quality Act reports. Plan Engage can be viewed via most desktop and mobile internet browsers. Next slide, please. Okay, so this is the welcome page that you see when you first open up the slide. Or the web page. We have this beautiful illustration here for the project. Next slide, page. No, please. Sorry. Here we have what's on the welcome page. We first have a PDF link to the Draft EIR, locations of physical copies that you could see at different libraries and other civic locations along the path, a link to the notice of availability, as well as links to the English and Spanish executive summary. Secondly, you'll find instructions on how exactly to use Plan Engage. Next slide, please. We also have instructions on how to provide comments via Plan Engage, and I'll go more into detail after this on how exactly that looks. We have details on the Draft EIR availability, including links to the project website with PDF copies, as well as this comment form window in the bottom right corner. So this window, as you're perusing the Draft EIR, always floats in the bottom right. And if you click on it, you can open up a comment form. Go to the next slide, please. So this comment form opens up, and within it, there are a few required fields, including your name, your email address, your actual comment, and consenting to two privacy policies. The first is of the Plan Engage privacy policy itself, as well as consent to the Metro privacy policy. So with these, you're just consenting to us collecting your comments, knowing that we will be able to read them at Metro, and like the comments you've submitted tonight or via the Q&A function or anything that you write in, we will be responding to the comments the exact same way for the final EIR. Some optional fields include a physical mailing address if you want to provide one, an organization or business that you represent, as well as a file upload. So if you have a screenshot or some photos or anything else that you would like to include, the accepted file formats are presented in the comment form. So you could you could attach different files to your comment as well. Next slide, please. If you minimize the comment form, you will lose what you have written so far. So please be sure to submit your comment before minimizing or closing the comment form again. This is something that we've heard in the past. So if you minimize the comment tab, please remember to submit your comment beforehand. Also, if you minimize the comment form, it may appear as a tab in the bottom right corner instead of as a window. Next slide, please. As for actually reading the draft EIR, on the left side, you'll find a navigation pane, which has a list of all the chapters and sections in the draft EIR. This also includes a direct link to the executive summary, both in English and in Spanish. There's a second navigation pane with all the different subsections within a chapter. And lastly, on the very right hand, the biggest pane, you'll be able to see the actual content in the draft EIR. And I'll note that everything you see on PlanEngage is exactly how you would see it in any other format. It is identical. It just makes it a little easier to read. In the actual draft EIR content, you'll have hyperlinks. So if there are any tables or figures or other chapter sections or subsections, everything is hyperlinked. So you might be directed to a table further in the chapter or maybe to another chapter. These hyperlinks will take you directly there, so you could read all the reference content. Next slide, please. Some DEIR chapters have interactive maps with them. They show up in a separate panel on the right. Interactive maps stay on the right even as you keep scrolling. So you might be reading a description of the map, but as you keep scrolling, you're realizing that the map isn't there anymore. Luckily, with PlanEngage, we could keep an interactive version of the map to the right. It also automatically updates as new maps appear in the text. So if you're reading about 3.16-1, that figure number, but then you come across the next map, 3.16-2, that map will show up on the right-hand side too. Users can toggle layers and move the interactive map, but please note that the scale or the zoom level is locked. Next slide, please. Lastly, we have appendices, non-SQL reports, and other attachments as available as PDFs. So if you scroll down, there's different sections labeled that are full of PDF attachments, including the appendices, the notice of availability, draft EIR PDF versions, as well as non-SQL reports. In the second panel, you could find different subsections of those PDF sets, such as the conceptual engineering plan set or the environmental site assessment. If you click any of these PDFs, it will open in a new window, and you could just read all of those as a PDF in your browser. That's all we have for PlanEngage for now. The good thing about PlanEngage is that after this hearing tonight, you could go home, read it, and submit comments at your leisure. And it's also a very easy way to share a way to submit comments to all your friends and family members and other people in your community. So please tell everyone, and we would love to read more comments. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you. There was an anonymous attendee that asked if there's going to be any eminent domain actions, and there will be no eminent domain actions with this project. So thank you for the question, and we want to make sure that you feel comfortable with that. Okay. So with that, we're going to open it back up to public comment. If you would like to speak, please raise your hand. We've got plenty of time tonight. There we go. We got an attendee. So Ji Young, you would like to speak. Go ahead.
Yes. Sorry if again if this is part of the plan. I haven't had a chance to fully go through the project plan or the DIR materials, DEIR materials, but I mean, they always say that once bike lanes go through a neighborhood, it's means gentrification, and so it would be a great parallel project to build affordable housing or public housing, well, or both, along the river path. And I'm wondering if there are any efforts to have a project like that, and if there is any county-owned land adjacent to the bike path, to be able to do something like that in order to mitigate the inevitable gentrification that will come with the bike path. And again, I'm fully in support of a bike path. I just want to have it be implemented intentionally and mindful of the communities that it's going through.
Thank you very much. We're going to add that to the public comment record for the EIR and answer that in the final document. Appreciate your time. Moving on then, let's move on to Jesse because they haven't had a chance to speak yet. Jesse, can you unmute your end?
Yes.
Go ahead.
I just want to elaborate, and you need continuation the upper and north because it's important for the bicycle individuals because sometimes they come in through the communities and they create more chaos among the drivers. And I'm talking. This is the Norris Business Association, and we like to see those bicycles to be on the river, right? To be on the streets because it's more safety to be in the river, right? To be on the streets, and that's really dangerous to the community, the drivers, and it's the bicycle individuals as well. And it's important to keep it in mind that the lady talk about gentrification, but that's not the point. That gentrify the area is the bicycle is not being used on the streets, probably on the river they will. But thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We appreciate your comments. Let's go back to Mark Lopez.
Hi, yeah. I wanted to point to AB 1558 that was approved in 2017. It's the LA River Ranger bill. And so when thinking about this corridor, I know there's a lot of times there's questions around authorities. And so in the lower part of the river, the cities are so small that was a big question that came up. Is it going to be sheriffs? Is it going to be specific cities, their PD? And an outcome from conversations that were community led where that folks didn't feel safe with having police being the authority on the river, and advocated instead for a river ranger, which of course has some policing authorities, but also has a community engagement responsibility that is very different from the police. And so there was efforts to put together a pilot and to really see it out as an opportunity for these folks to develop relationships with community members, with constituents that come and recreate with the river, as opposed to the policing force, which has a lot of negative history in our communities. And so I just wanted to make sure to raise that because once you get north of Vernon, then we're dealing specifically with LAPD, which isn't something that we had to deal with when considering the lower LA River. And so just wanting to make sure that is something that is part of the conversation when thinking about the different authorities and the different responsibilities on the river. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. With that, let's go through the website and the Isaiah, can you walk us through that? and then also the any support materials. Isaiah, are you with us?
Yep. Give me 1 second.
And okay.
All right, so I'm going to walk everyone through the story map. So this is the interactive project website that we have. You can access this on the LA River Path project website. We'll also make sure to post this in the chat now, so you're able to get to this. This is a way just to be able to access a little bit more information, kind of an interactive way to navigate through the same, materials and information that's in the presentation. As you scroll down on the story map, you'll see on the top here, there are a few different tabs. So if you did want to skip to something else, you're able to do that. So if you already kind of have your bearings about the project and you want to learn more about the environmental process, or you want to understand a little bit more about what is within the corridor, you could click on those and jump directly to those different sections. As you scroll through, if you do need this in Spanish, you can click here, and that'll take you to a separate story map that is all in Spanish. And then if you do want to sign up for email updates, you can do that too at the top here. That will put you on our email list so that you will get updates on the project. And as you continue to scroll down, again, there's some information about the project. The Plan Engage site that we've been mentioning that Christian went through is here as well. You can click on that and it'll take you directly to that Plan Engage site where you can scroll through the Draft EIR, submit comments directly on the Draft EIR itself. And as you continue down, there's more information, about the LA River Path project, where it can in the communities. There's some more information about the project description that is included in the draft environmental impact report. And as you scroll down, again, there's more ways to be able to access that Plan Engage site. There is the project website here, if you would rather have a PDF version of that draft EIR as well. We do have a few maps that are included on the story map. This is a static map that just shows you, where the project study area is from North Elysian Valley through Lincoln Heights, Chinatown, Arts District, Boyle Heights, Vernon, and Maywood. And then as you continue to scroll through, this is where you can interact directly with the map itself to understand a little bit more about the proposed project, showing here in green on the map itself, and then the different options that are being studied within the draft EIR too. So again, this map is interactive. You can scroll directly in. You can click on the different icons within it to be able, oh, that one didn't like that. Let me get back to there. Give it a second to load here. So in your version, because I'm logged in, you can be able to click on the different access points to see a little bit more information about that. You can click on the routes themselves to see where it is incised, top of bank, the different options that are being shown specifically within the different path types here. And as you scroll through, it does give a little bit more information about each of those. So including how many access points there are, so 9 access points for the proposed project. And as you scroll through for option 1, that includes 11 new access points and the different river crossings, where those different sides of the river it is on will show directly on the map itself. Same thing with option 2, includes the 9 new access points for option 2 and the 7 river crossings, And then as you continue to scroll down, there's more information about the mostly east bank, the mostly west bank, the shortened northern path, and then the shortened southern path as well. And then as you continue to scroll through this, there's more information about what is the environmental process and more about the draft environmental impact report, the schedule of the project and where we are within that schedule. Again, you can access that draft EIR by clicking the links directly on here. That'll take you to that Plan Engage site. There is the information about the public review period from December 18th, 2025 to February 2nd, 2026. And then includes also all those different topics that are being studied within the draft EIR that Matt went through. And again, there's a little bit more information about the timeline, what the project objectives are that are included in the draft EIR, and then all the different elements that are included within the project decision process, going through the draft EIR, to the Metro Board of Directors considering selecting a locally preferred alternative, and then advancing the project design to continue into the final EIR after that. And as you keep scrolling through, it may take a second or two for the map to load here. It's running a little bit slower for some reason. All right, well, we might jump back to this, but you'll have to use your imagination. On the right here, there is a map that does show the different potential destinations. So this includes, where the path and where you'd be able to access some of those more frequented locations surrounding the river. There's also the Metro Rail connections, so the different light rail and heavy rail connections that connect directly with the LA River path, the different bus connections. You can see all the different bus lines. You can click on those to see which bus lines intersect and interact with the LA River path. There's also an equity-focused communities map that you'll be able to see that ranges from a very high need to a very low need, and where the path fits within those different communities as well. And then there's also the bike and walk sheds. So these are areas that you would be able to reach within a 10-minute bike ride or a 10-minute walk within the bike shed and the walk shed. So you can see based on the proposed project, oh, here we go, we're getting the map. You can see based on the proposed project, the bike shed that exists around the different access points. Same thing for the proposed project. The walk shed, you should be able to see where you could walk within a 10-minute walk around the different access points. For option one, it's the same thing. You can click on that to be able to see the bike shed, the walk shed, and then for the same thing for the option two, the bike shed there as well. And I know we've gotten some questions about, what are the different path types? What is the path, and what's being considered? There are some different design renderings. So these are conceptual that give you an opportunity to be able to toggle back and forth to see what the path might look like within the LA River. So here we are looking south from First Street. And so you can see here with an incised path type, what that might look like. And as you continue to scroll across these, you can see different elements. So there are some questions about safety. So with an incised path, where lighting may be and how that may look within the river today. I know there were some questions, there are some comments about including biodiversity and plants. and trees and maybe some of the different elements that might be included within the path. And as you can see here, there are conceptual renderings that show what it might look like in the future. And then, like we mentioned, specifically, an incised path concept rendering, you can see here, what that might look like. This is looking north towards Spring Street Bridge. And then an elevated path concept, you can see here, again, looking north towards Spring Street, and how the path might fit within the different historic bridges there. So that gives you an overview of the different path types and some of those conceptual renderings options there. And then as you scroll through, so if you did want to share this with your family, friends, neighbors, frenemies, so that they are able to make it to the last public hearing, or if they still have time to join the one tonight, you can see some more of that information about where that public hearing is, what the date is, and time. And then as Mark went through, there are several ways to receive public comments here. One of them is tonight. You can submit comments via the Q&A. You can also raise your hand and submit a verbal public comment. You can also do that at the public hearing on Saturday as well. But you can also provide public comments directly on that Plan Engage site via that comment tab that Christian went through. You can also submit written comments. You can email those directly to us here. You can also email us at Metro 1 Gateway Plaza. The mail stop is here in Los Angeles, California, 90012. You can also call the project hotline and leave us a voicemail if you would prefer that. And then again, you can join Metro's project email list to receive updates on the project too. And then at the very bottom, if you wanted to email us comments, you can just click that button there instead of copying and pasting the email above. So with that, I think that takes us through the story map.
Thanks for the overview, story map. Appreciate it, Isaiah. We have some hands raised, so let's go to them. Clara Solis.
Yes, I had a couple of comments. I ride the Arroyo Seco bike path, and I've joined in Jesse's 5K in the Arroyo Seco, and it gets really hot. So it is really important to have those trees and plants there. And that's on the river bottom. I'm not sure if it will be cooler on the top or elevated. I would think there'd be more of a breeze. I also wanted to make the comment that I think they've gone through so much planning. I don't think it's going to be changed to inside the riverbed. And there's some concerns I would have about having it inside the riverbed. The river is much wider at the bottom of the bank, and the water can go through there really quick, especially on rainy periods or even small periods where they're releasing water. And so I think it could be dangerous down at the bottom of the riverbank. Plus, there's talk of restoration, and they're doing projects down there on the river. And so it possibly conflict with that. Then the other question I had was 45 days is what the state clearinghouse requires for an EIR, and you only gave 47 with 3 major holidays, really the time between Christmas and January 31st. People are not focusing on this. So I really hope you will consider adding time to this. And then also, I was wondering if you could walk through some of these very busy pathways entering into the bikeway, because I think the bikeway itself is pretty safe. But some of these streets where the bike path is going to have an access point are pretty busy. Could you show us what ideas you have for keeping the people safe as they get to the bike path? And is there in the document, and can you point where that is? Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. One of the challenges of a virtual format is it's hard to break into those sub areas. But if you want to come out on Saturday, we can better drill down on that stuff a little bit more. I want to move on to Mario Dominguez, who's coming up. Mario?
Okay, so now I got questions for you guys. So thank you, Mr. Ford, for showing those images. I had no idea that this project was going to be this wild and screwy. I mean, you guys are going to build the path along the wall of the levee, on the wall. Is that right? Because I was imagining it's going to be, because here in Southgate, we have the levee, but we're all on top of that strip on above the levee wall where the walkers, joggers, and bicyclists are. I mean, can you comment on the design? I mean, is this thing structurally going to hold? I mean, all that, because over here it's like a sea. It's massive when it fills up. So I'm imagining where you guys going to build it and how you're going to where the location is going to be immersed and buried underwater. I mean, is it going to hold underneath all that weight and pressure? So if you could comment on that. The other thing I want to say is you mentioned the rail to river project. Okay, so I've heard of this. Where does it run? What cities does it run through? What street or streets does it run to? And can you explain this project? Does it connect to this LA River bike path project? Does the river to rail project connect to the LA River path project? And when does Metro expect to proceed and break ground and move into the construction phase? Give me a year on that. But yeah, the design, this is wild. I had no idea that segments of it would be on the wall, built on the levee wall, on the wall. That's the first I'm seeing this. If you could comment on that, please, Ms. Gupta. That's all I have.
So I can comment on the rail to river, Mario. If you want to give me a call tomorrow at work, the rail to river is a different project. So we sent you the website address. I can walk you through that. It's a different project. So let's review that offline. The other questions, it's sort of hard. This is really sort of a comment period. So portion of the show. So the timeline is all in the PowerPoint in front of you. So thank you. Anybody else have any comments they want to give us tonight? So I don't see anybody in the queue. So let's do this. We're going to take a 15-minute break. We're going to be taking comments until now and then. But if you think you might have a question or something to come up, we're still going to be here. We're going to be here until 8 o'clock. But we're going to go off camera for the moment, and we will resume back now at 7:45 and take any additional comments. Okay, it's 7:45. I want to touch base with everybody again. If you would like to make a comment, please raise your hand in the Zoom function, and we will go ahead and take another comment. Anybody out there? I don't see anybody at this point. Mario, go ahead.
All right, Mr. Dirk, and this will be my last comment. I just want to end by saying I want to instruct the folks at Metro to prioritize bike trail projects, bike path projects. This is something that we need. LA County and the city of Los Angeles, as well as my city and all these cities here in LA County, have done a poor, miserable job in investing in this infrastructure. You go to Europe. What are they doing over there? They're zipping around like crazy over there on their bicycles. This isn't something like an afterthought for them, and this is their way of life. They just cruise around, zip around all over. And here in LA County, we got nothing. We got scraps. We got pittance here. So this is something I want Metro to pursue and develop for all of us. And I want to applaud Metro for taking on this project, but I want to see more. I want to see a hell of a lot more. All in with that.
It's always a pleasure to hear from you, Mario. I appreciate your comments. So with that, let's go to Mark Lopez.
Yeah, thank you. I think in sharing Mario's sentiment, these are investments that we definitely want to see in our communities. At least for sure through Boyle Heights into the lower LA River. For our communities, when Measure M came through, the bulk of the funding, the bulk of the resources that have come through have looked like freeway investments, not public transpo or active transportation investments. And so, we see this as a move in the right direction and would want to prioritize this for any available funding. And like I mentioned earlier, we've engaged in some of these conversations before COVID, and we're interested in continuing to engage in these conversations. So we hope we can get that extension on the comment period so that we can properly inform and engage our community members who I imagine will be proponents of the project. Thank you.
Okay, Ji Young, you have the floor.
I just wanted to piggyback off of the prior comment about rangers and very much support security of the bike path with rangers rather than LAPD. And my understanding is, well, just I don't know. I don't remember if it's anecdotally or if it's a data driven, but I recently read that crime is down on Metro, and we don't have LAPD or the Metro Police yet, and so it's possible to have safety, especially with the ambassadors. So if there was something like ambassadors, which I guess would be like rangers, I am very much in support of something like that rather than law enforcement.
Thank
That's
you very
all.
much for your comments. Let's go to Clara Solis.
Just want to say, yes, I support seeing a bike path through here, and I hope it goes the entire route, so communities will have the ability to go from one all the way down from one place to the other, especially for work. We have a golden opportunity now with this project. I want to also just encourage you. I hope you give the people that their extra 30 days. People are just tuning into this with these public hearings, and we only have like 52 hours left to comment, and you have one last hearing. So people have good comments to say. Sometimes they see things that you might have missed. You think you're very thorough, but people do have good comments. They live there. And so when they look at some of the pages of this document, they might say, hey, where do I enter? And see something that you guys missed. And so I think it really will benefit the project, giving it that extra 30 days. It isn't going to make a big difference 30 days at the end of the project because it's way out in the future as it is. So 30 extra days to give the community to take a closer look and give their good comments because they live out there will really be beneficial to you. And I've seen in the review process where you've incorporated some of comments that people have made. So give us the extra 30 days. I think most of the people here have said they're for this project. So I'm sure everybody else is as well who probably will weigh in. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comment. Is there anybody else who would like to line up? That's the last person I have in the queue. Okay, I'm gonna take another break. We're gonna go off camera again, and we're gonna reconvene at 5:58. So thank you. Just a correction, I meant 7:58. Okay, we're back. Thank you very much. We're almost towards the end of our meeting. I want to open it up if there's any other comments. Mario, you have a comment?
So I thought I was done with what I said last time, but I have to agree with Miss Solis. I have 100% have to support what she said. Why not extend the public comment one more month? I mean, how is that going to impede or hinder the progress of this project? I mean, in my estimation, you guys are already late. You're late with this thing. You guys haven't even completed the EIS EIR. The very first Zoom meeting that I participated, Mr. Durkin, and I'm pretty sure you were in it, was back in November, was back in 2022, right around the end of 2022. And that's where I first came across Mark Durkin, was in a Zoom meeting for this project. So I don't see why Metro can't do another month, and it'll give you a chance, Metro, to put out notices and alerts to folks and attract more people into this process. So yeah, I don't see why you can't extend it another month. And is it going to even kill the project? Is it would another month of public comment even hurt the project at all? Would it kill it? I don't see how it would. All in with that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mario. I appreciate our longstanding relationship, and I appreciate your passion. So thank you very much for showing up tonight. Are there any other comments from anybody in the public? So this is going once, going twice. With that, it's 8 p.m. I would like to thank everybody on behalf of Metro for coming out to our environmental draft hearing tonight, public hearing. Again, you can comment and stay connected with the project through the following information on the website. You can contact us via U.S. mail, care of Mitali Gupta at Metro One Gateway Plaza. You can reach us through our email address at lariver@metro.net, or at metro.net projects. LA River Path is our web address. You can also reach us through our social media handles at Twitter and Facebook. So thank you, everybody, for coming tonight. We really appreciate your input. And please stay connected and tuned into this project, and we will follow through later. So thank you very much. And I will conclude this public meeting.